What's up, everybody? I am Finn Mckenty. This is the Punk Rock MBA podcast. Today's guest is the one and only Lil Xan. You may remember him as the kid who had that song Betrayed back in 2018 or whatever with the Xanax tattoo on his face that everybody hated. But there's a reason why people connected with him, because he's saying something that speaks to millions and millions of people. The song has well over 1 billion streams across all platforms combined. A lot of people fell off, but actually he didn't. If anything, I would say he has leveled up since then. For two reasons. Number one, he's gotten his mental health and addiction issues under control, as we talk about this interview. Number two, he's gone independent. He was on a major label before, got the benefit of being part of that whole system, but now he's decided to go out on his own, do things on his own terms. It's super clear to me from talking to him here that he has a vision for this. He's like 3 steps ahead of where you probably think he is. Super inspiring conversation. Really excited to have him on. If you like this, check out the rest of my podcasts. There's a link in the description. I don't normally put these on YouTube, but this one was so good that I wanted to. The place to subscribe is either on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. There's links to that in the description. You can also check out our merch if you want, support on Patreon if you were so inclined. Either way, I love this episode. Hopefully you like it as much as I do, and let's get into it. Diego, welcome to the podcast. I'm going to call you Diego because I always feel weird calling people by their
artist names.
Yeah, they're like rap or graffiti names. Like when I used to do graffiti, you know, my friends be like, "Hey, this my boy Lost," and be like, "Oh, you mean Bob?"
Yeah, bro. I introduce myself as Diego to anybody really, because I also feel very like weird or corny like to introduce myself as Xan. It's like, I don't know.
I wonder what DaBaby does. He's like, "Hey, what's up with DaBaby?" Like, he probably doesn't introduce himself. He probably expects you to know who he is.
I bet you DaBaby is just like, "Yo, I'm DaBaby." Like, I would, if I was DaBaby, I'd introduce myself as DaBaby.
I would too. Well, thanks for making time for this, and shout out to Michael for connecting us.
Yeah, shout out to Mikey.
I'm not sure how familiar you are with the show, but I would guess that a lot of people listening to this are probably like older rock fans who maybe really only know Betrayed, and they probably think you're the same, you know, as 2018 or whatever, you know, the kid with the face tattoos that think to take drugs and stuff. But it seems like you've grown up a lot, especially in the last year or so. Where are you at now mentally and with your career and stuff?
Mentally, well, yeah, like you said, it was definitely like a rough, like honestly a rough last 3 years, to be honest. I was addicted to so much stuff like Xanax and opioids for the majority of my career. And but yeah, I'm off all that stuff now. I just recently, last couple months, got completely sober. And that changed everything, bro. I feel like I missed out on all the art. Like I feel like I went on tours and stuff, but I feel like I missed out. Like I should have been sober to enjoy it more, you know, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah.
And because I'm now my serotonin levels are like coming back slowly but surely. And it just feels really good. Like it feels really good. I wish I would have been sober for a lot of the cool shit I did, before the pandemic and just in life in general. But we're at a good spot right now, mentally too. We're at a good spot. So, 2021, just got to hope that it's a good year, you know?
I just watched the video for my girlfriend this morning to do research for this, and like your energy in that like seems like a different person. Like you seem so much more alert and present.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely more alert. People can tell. Like people, if I was to like relapse on drugs, like my friends would know like within a day. They'd be like, "Oh, he's back on something." But yeah, it's like some one step at a time kind of stuff. We're just taking it easy. We all make mistakes, but I just want to be like, I just want to let people know like they're not alone when they're going through, stuff like that. And if they ever need someone to talk to, I'm there. You can DM me.
Well, I think the fact that you've been so kind of transparent about that stuff, I'm sure it's been hard for you, but I think that's probably helped a lot of people.
Oh man, even if it just helped one person, if I could just know I helped one person, that would mean so much to me. But you're probably right. It probably has helped a bunch of people. And that's like probably one of the better feelings of this is just knowing that, if you subconsciously you're helping people, even if you do know or not know. But yeah, I get messages from fans all the time saying like I'd save their lives, stuff like that. Is shit, that makes me almost cry like every time. Crazy.
I think it's kind of interesting that, you know, when anybody becomes known for like partying or drugs or whatever, on the one hand, you know, I'm sure that you feel like, well, shit, I feel like, you know, I've set a bad example, or maybe I got someone to think that something wasn't cool. But on the other hand, that's the reason why you connected with a lot of people who needed help. You know what I mean? Like, they're listening to you because they can tell that you're going through the same shit that they are.
Yeah, definitely speaks for itself in the music too. With Betrayed, like I think what captivated people with Betrayed was the hook, the Xans don't make you, and you know, I wrote that. I knew it was a cool song when I wrote that, but I didn't realize, you know, how big of the impact of that hook would be, you know, because yeah, it's insane, bro. People really just, I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's even kind of hard for me to understand how big that song was, because, you know, I know of you through Michael and other people and stuff. So to me, I think of you as like someone kind of just like, you know, in our kind of circle, but that song is fucking huge. Yeah,
bro. I think it has like on shout out Cole Bennett. He did the video. I think on his channel it has like about 300 million. On a random channel it has like 50 million, and on my channel it has like another 100 million. I don't even understand. But yeah, shout out to. I wrote that song sitting on top of a washer machine, and like and I probably wrote it in like 15 minutes, and I was like, oh, let's go. That's when we were just cranking out songs. You know, Mikey, my homie John. We were just trying to make the hit, you know, like just cranking out songs, 15-minute songs. And Betrayed came out of them like those sessions. It's crazy.
And you were 17, 18 then? Like super young, right?
I think I was maybe late 17 turning 8. No, I was 18. Yeah, definitely 18.
Man,
yeah, 24 now.
I can't imagine what a ride it would be. It's like, it's almost cruel that we make people that young famous, because there's fucking no way that anybody that age is prepared for it.
No, not at all. Honestly, I've said the same thing. Like when you give money and fame to such a young like person, like nobody teaches you like what to do with that, you know, and that's why. Yeah, and how, you know, like you would have to have a mentor come in that's been through it to teach you, but you know, we don't have that. So that was actually a big problem for me too, was, I got fame and money way too early, I feel like. And, you know, everybody's a yes man and shit. Sure. When you know what I mean? So everybody just wants to do shit for you. And so I felt like I was on top of the world, circa 2018 and 19 and stuff. And yeah, it starts to really affect like your mental health. I will say that, like, especially the pandemic has shown me that, like, ever since the pandemic started, can't do shows. There's less people around you, and you know you're not outside. You like low key, it starts getting depressing and stuff. You start feeling like you're not as good as you were, and it's just it's crazy, man. And I'm starting to realize all the crazy shit that when I was around a bunch of people, like that gratification, you know, like it was like its own drug. I feel like.
Of what? Just feeling like you're the man?
Yeah, bro. Definitely just feeling like you're the man. Like, I'm not a cocky person, but it was just a good feeling.
I think that's just human nature. Anybody, that feels good for anybody.
Yeah, definitely. But like I said, the pandemic hit, less people around, stuff. You start realizing what's important. I'm starting to realize, like, none of that shit's really, I mean, I knew that shit wasn't important, but yeah, it's just a weird time. Weird time, man.
Well, how do you kind of make the decision to look out for yourself? Because like you said, you know, there's so many people in the industry who are happy to just kind of let you self-destruct if it's profitable for them. And, you know, they'll just move on to the next person. And how do you kind of know when to snap out of that and be like, you know, I have to look out for myself?
I'm doing that right now. That's crazy. Yeah, I feel like that's happening to me actually right now with the things I can't talk about and stuff. But right now I'm really just trying to focus on myself. My sobriety is the most important thing to me, I feel like. And I'm still making music. I'll go out, like the little times I did go out in public in 2020. People would still come up to me, take pictures and stuff, but they'd always be like, yo, when are you dropping new music? That was like the most common thing. And I'm like, damn, like if they're telling me that, they could see that I'm not chopping music.
Well, you did put out, a decent amount of stuff.
Yeah, but like I think I put out like 2 songs last year.
Yeah, you put out
like 2 songs.
A song every 6 months.
Oh yeah, like a song every 6 months.
Oh, okay. I thought it was more than that.
No, the most recent one, my girlfriend, that was like a couple months ago, I think. They're like 3 months. But yeah, I just slowed my roll with like I was gonna put out an album and stuff. But yeah, I just when I wanted to do all that, let me also tell you, I was so fucked up off drugs. So fucked up. It was like dictating what I did, like everything in my life. So it was like a crazy mess just of my life going on. So I really have just taken this time to slow down and focus on what I want my music to sound like first and foremost, because I've gotten older. You know, I'm 24. I'm not 18 anymore. I don't want to keep rapping about the same stupid shit that I was rapping about. So we're going to come back. We're going to be back in a different way, in a different setting, one that's more appropriate, I feel like.
So what do you think that's going to sound like?
I think definitely going to have elements of, you know, Xan. Definitely my voice is too, sure. I feel like too interesting for that not to. But maybe more like indie alternative, something like that, you know. Shout out to, you know, MGK. What he's doing is super sick. But maybe a little more indie, you know, trying to do my own. Because I know, like, what MGK does, but I love MGK's music, but a lot of people are trying to copy it, and it feels very oversaturated.
Right.
Like, but he's doing it beautifully. But it's just, we go into studio sessions all around LA, and it's like the same. People just trying to emulate that alternative sound. Yeah.
So are you thinking more of like the kind of Kenny Hoopla grandson kind of direction of indie? Yeah. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, like that too. I love all types of like indie music or just music in general. But like Dayglow, I like Dayglow. Who else? Boy Pablo. Boy Pablo's dope. Just like I love Cage Elephant. And then I've been listening to like a lot of like older stuff too, like The Strokes and stuff. I don't know, just, I'm getting in my bag now. It's like I love that whole vibe, bro. Like there's so many artists that, because I was so focused on just focusing on what hip hop was doing, and I feel like it clouded my brain, and I was like you gotta like open up more and stuff. So I've been listening to music I wouldn't normally listen to, but just I'm having a great time doing that.
Somebody, I was reading some comments or whatever, and someone said that you were like stuck between 2 genres, meaning like alternative and hip hop. And I mean, I see what that person said, but I think that you are in a genre that didn't exist until a couple months ago. That is that, you know, or a couple years ago. That it's like the combination of those two things.
Yeah. They're probably,
you know, you are accepted in hip hop to some extent, but you're not really a rap guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Nah. What's funny about that is, I got big off making music, which was super cool. It's a blessing for anybody that's trying to make music. Yeah, that was cool. So we got big off music, and then the media just picked me up on some other shit, and it was like every week there was some new crazy big TMZ story about me. I mean, for good reason. I was going through it for all that.
Sure, but it's interesting because you're hardly the only person going through the same shit, and they really picked up on you disproportionately. Yeah, they did. It's not like you're the only person in LA doing drugs.
Yeah, not at all. But it's just like the random stories that they would post. I feel like actually elevated my career and who let people know who I was. So at a certain point, I made this joke. Like, I'm still an artist. I'm still gonna make music forever. But I made a joke during that time period, like, I don't even have to make music anymore, man. I'm just kind of like good. I just got to keep doing dumb shit. But we're going to keep making music.
But that is true, is that, you know, and I have to think that that's a terrible incentive for people, is that you're rewarded for doing self-destructive things. Like when you have a chill, healthy day, TMZ doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, they're not publishing that story. But Yeah, you're exactly right. They just want to see you self-destruct. You can literally go on YouTube and watch my whole life self-destruct
Sure.
in like 4 videos, which is crazy. Like, but they love it, and it's terrible, but they love it. Yeah, we're in like a time and day and age where it's like, you know, that's like cool. I feel like it's almost cool to like be on some self-destructive shit, and it's not cool. I don't think it's cool.
I don't think it is either. Well, what role did kind of alternative and rock have on you as far as influence? You know, a lot of people think of you as a rapper, but you are, but there's definitely more to it than that.
Yeah, I grew up on when it comes to like alternative and like rock, I grew up on like early, you know, big one was early Arctic Monkeys, like their old stuff. I liked when it was more punk kind of. Great band. Queens of the Stone Age, sick. The Killer, you know, classic everything, the Killers and all that whole just
So
the
you're
Strokes.
a 2005 hipster.
Yes, yes, I'm a 2005 hipster. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, go further back. I grew up, you know, Nirvana, Smashing Pumpkins, all that grunge stuff. Yeah, bro, it's kind of hard because I listen to everything because my dad is why I make music, because he was so musically like inclined, and I wasn't even like that big on listening to records and stuff, but he had a record machine and we would just play everything on vinyl. So I learned like, and he had everything from like Beethoven to like De La Soul to NERD to like to everything, you know? So I was just very open to music in its own. The music's beautiful. I love it.
And listening to it like that, really, it forces you to slow down and listen to the details because you can't skip as easily.
Yeah, you definitely can't skip that easy on that thing. Yeah, it was real opener for me. You know, I realized I've always had such a big passion for music via my dad because of that. And I just never knew what to do with it. And then obviously it translated probably into a cool little music career. So shout out to dad.
So when did you like hook up with Michael and some of the other people that were there early on and kind of decide what direction you wanted to go with it?
Yeah, when I linked,
did you even decide, or did you just kind of fucking happen, or how did that
yeah,
happen?
that's a crazy story. I used to be a photographer, and one of my like I was on SoundCloud. I wasn't on SoundCloud. I was just like a consumer of SoundCloud. Yeah. And I found this artist called Steven Cannon, still a good friend to this day. And I was like, man, this is like, I felt like I was so cool because I was listening to something that nobody had heard before, but it was so good. And I showed all my friends. We started becoming Steven Cannon fans to the point where I finally found him like opening up for an artist at Los Globos in Los Angeles. And so we went and I stood in line with my friend for like 4 hours. Let me also tell you, nobody else was in line for 4 hours. Like we thought we had to get there, you know, like,
nobody, you could just show up when he's about to play.
Yeah, exactly.
I was going to say, I didn't realize people had to wait in line to see him back then, but
no, bro, that was me just being stupid. Right. And he finally shows up. I get a picture with him, whatever. The show happens. It was cool. Backstage, I go and I'm like, yo, can I take pictures of you and you and your crew? You know, I'm just trying to anything at this point. They're like, yeah, okay. So I started taking pictures, go home, send them the pictures. And that connection, who was back there was Mikey, John, and everybody that I'm still with to this day, like was in that little group right there. And so I just built that connection from right there. Probably annoyed the hell out of them for, I know I used to just show up to their house all the time, like without knowing. And yeah, just built that connection, and like 4 or 5 years later, we're still going crazy. The same people. It's beautiful, man. Usually that doesn't happen.
There's so much to be said for not being afraid of being that annoying kid, you know, especially when you're that age. Like I just did a podcast with the guys from a band called Fame on Fire that had a studio in Florida, and they knew poor Stacy when he was just the kid that would hang out at the studio. And so I was like, how did you end up doing a song with him? And that's how it happened. And you know, same for me. That's how I know so many people
that I
still talk to. You just can't be afraid of being that awkward, annoying little kid. Yeah,
you can't, because it's going to like work for you to some extent. Obviously not, but it just takes that one time, that one connection to be built. And also shout out to poor Stacy, man. Mikey, you did a crazy record with Poor Stacy. Yeah, Mikey did a crazy unreleased record with Andrea. Shout out, he's gonna blow up. Like he's dope. Shout out Poor Stacy.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that was like, you weren't making music at all then.
Who?
When you met them backstage, they were taking photos?
Oh, back then. No, I was strictly a photographer. That's
Gotcha.
crazy. And then I started doing like BTS of their shows, and I wasn't even that good, you know, like it wasn't. And eventually they I don't think they liked me at first, to be honest. Yeah, I don't think they liked me very much. They probably thought, because I was so weird, I would just show up to but yeah, you have to be that weird kid. I would just show up to their shows without them knowing, and they'd be like, oh, he's putting in a lot of effort. So they just, took me in at that point. But then my camera got stolen at one of their shows, and I was like, oh, I was devastated, because like it took me so much to like save up for that camera and just to have it gone. But that night we actually lost our close friend Gabe that same night due to an overdose. So I was like, I can't be mad about the camera. That's replaceable. Yeah. Like, you know, life isn't. And after that day, I kept seeing my friends like Steven make music, like where I'd be hanging out. And I'm like, I just should try it, you know, like see what happens. And my first couple songs sucked really bad. But that's part of the process too. Yeah, that's part of the part. You got to find, you know, your sound and your voice. Yeah, if you're amazing on the first try, you're gifted. And good for you, but that's not good for the rest of us. That's not us. And yeah, they liked, but my producers liked my voice. They even if the song came out bad, they were like, you have a good voice, like a good raspiness to it. And so we just worked with it. They helped me work on it, and we eventually put out some, you know, decent music, and it just got, I like to think it got better. So yeah. I feel like you could do like voiceover for like Pixar movies or something. Yeah. If there's like some sleepy like cat character or something. Yo, I've had this conversation with all my friends. I'm like, yo, I want to do voice acting. Like I could be the sleepy cat. There you go. It's like how Gilbert Gottfried got big for being like the parrot in Aladdin. Oh my God. Yeah. So we got to look for these jobs because I mean, you got the Hollywood connections. You can make it happen, I'm sure. So the photography thing is interesting because one of the things I was going to ask you about is like, I feel like you have really strong creative direction, you know, with your videos and the way you dress and just kind of everything. And I was wondering where that came from and how hands-on you are with that. And it sounds like you are also a very visual person then. Yeah, definitely. My style is definitely because of probably little Mikey over here. So he's the brains. Yes. This guy has been dapping me up in cool merch, and not just wearing the merch, he also shows me new music. So when you see Diego in a Vane shirt, we know who to blame. Yeah, yes. And he said if you see Diego in a Vane shirt, we know who to blame. Yeah, you blame Mikey right there. No, but he'll actually, he's not going to just let me be a poser and just wear it. He's like, you want to wear this? Like, you got to listen to some of their music first. So shout out to Mikey. And other than that, I would say I was more hands-on in the past with like my style, especially when I was like in the limelight more and shit. But I feel so lazy. You catch me in like sweatpants and like a hoodie nowadays. Like, I don't know. I just feel like that's the type of vibe that the year is on right now. So. Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, it'd be weird to be like, 100% drip at all times. Just like, at home playing Xbox. Yeah. People do that though, which is funny. I mean, that's a vibe too, That's definitely a vibe. It's a certain vibe right there. Yeah. Not mine. So what is your team now? Are you like totally independent or what? Tell me about that. I'm totally independent at the moment. Besides for like, my friends like Kinfolk John and Morgoth, we have like offers on the table, but we're just figuring out where we want the brand to be, where we want to be first and foremost, and just seeing what we can achieve, seeing like what's the best route. So we're just taking it slow and figuring it out. We don't want to, because I had like a bad label experience the first time, so we really want to not deal with that again if possible.
Well, you know what they're going to want to do is they're going to want you to be on the radio again, making the biggest songs you possibly can and all that. And
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing wrong with that, but that's not necessarily the right move for you.
Yeah, I don't think that is, because when they did do that, it felt cool at the time. Yeah, when you hopped in the car and they were playing, you know, the record on there, you felt like you're on top of the world. But the thing with labels, and I have nothing against labels. You know, it's a cool way to get your music out there and get popping and stuff. But for me, it just seems like a major label maybe wouldn't. I don't know if I want to go like do that again. You know, because I went on probably about 1,000 radio runs, you know, where you just like, oh my God, that was the most excruciating thing ever.
And they all ask you the same terrible questions.
Yes.
When you can tell they've never listened to more than 2 seconds of your music.
Yeah. Like they press played for like a second. It's always the same thing. I've had to say that like, 1,000 times. The amount of
Tell me about your face tattoos.
My face tattoo. Hold on. I got you.
You know, like the morning DJ, I'm sure that's like the number one question.
Oh, man. Yo, my bad about that. Someone called it. It was like a whole clustered fuck or something.
No problem.
Yeah.
So the label. I feel like your situation is almost like the best possible scenario. Is you got the benefit of being on a major and kind of, you know, they can do things for you at the beginning of your career that are really hard to do for yourself.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
Shout
you've
out
got
to
that benefit, but now you can kind of take what they built and build your own thing on top of that.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what we're trying to do. Shout out to the label, because what I will say that I take away from the label the most is what I learned, just watching them work and seeing how the industry just, you know, works and stuff. So that was really cool to learn all that stuff. But now with that knowledge, it's like, oh yeah, let's start a record label, that'd be fun, though, independent. But yeah, we just want to we want to build on top of that.
So you have, I assume, like a manager still?
Yeah, I do have a manager still. Yeah, I do.
It's interesting to me that a lot of artists talk about their manager and label and stuff like that, almost like they're the boss. And it's like, dude, they work for you. You know, my manager won't let me. You know, your manager doesn't write the fucking check. You do.
Yeah, there's so many problems right there too that I don't know where that comes from. I think it's like such a weird relationship, the artist to manager. I've been lucky though. I have a really good relationship with my manager, but I know that a lot of people definitely are like that, you know.
And I think a lot of it is probably them just being young and not really knowing that it doesn't have to be that way, or that they have the option to be in charge, and you know, maybe they just don't feel comfortable.
It's almost like a dad-son relationship.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
You know,
exactly.
Yeah, it's almost like like your manager could be like a father figure to you, and that's why it's like, oh, I want to do this. Like, you can't do that. It's the same shit. Like,
yeah,
same shit.
Yeah, and you know, you went through that major label system, and you kind of know what you want. And to me, that's the best possible place to be. You've seen how it works at the highest levels, and now you can take that, and you can choose to go that direction if you want to, but you can also choose to go another direction. Yeah,
it's completely up on the table. It's completely, if a good opportunity mainstream presents itself, I'm not going to turn that down, but I'm looking down in here in the underground to see what I can do, because I feel like there's a lot. I don't know. There's just a lot of, I'm not going to say more creativity, but it's something different. Like,
well, there's less people involved to put their stamp on it, and you know, slow things down and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like, you know, I came from where I'm at. Like, I came from the underground. It's a community. It's a family. Especially like the SoundCloud era people, you know, So I'm just seeing what we could do. We can do great things again, man. We did it once, we can do it again.
Sure. Well, I mean, it's not like you fell off or something. Your stuff is still getting millions and millions of plays.
Yeah.
You know, you're still better than a lot of people ever would
that's
be.
That's the Virgo in me, the perfectionist.
Oh, see, I'm a Virgo too, and I am the same way. Like, I'm only as good as the last thing I did.
Yeah. See, I love that, man. Love that.
Yeah. So how much do you think you've grown into being kind of the CEO of yourself, if that makes sense?
See, I feel like that has honestly just recently kind of been a thing, if that makes sense. Like in the last couple months, getting sober and getting control of my brain, my mind, was the most important thing. And I just want to do this myself. I want to I don't know how to describe it. It's a crazy way to describe it. Like, I don't know. I just feel like I could do more as a human being sober now. So I just want to continue on that and be a boss. Yeah, just be a boss one day.
You know, it seems like a lot of people probably thought that you were going to be, you know, I don't know, I'll say Bobby Shmurda or something like that, like someone that had a couple, you know, kind of meme songs and then disappeared. And it seems like you're really, you know, doing the opposite of that, of like, maybe maybe you'll be, you know, on the radio again, maybe you won't, but either way, you've found like this core group of fans that really love and support you. That will probably stay with you. Like, you could be making music until you're 60 if you want to.
Yeah, and there's still be that little niche.
And I would rather have that personally. I'd rather have like
a core
group of a couple thousand people that will support you forever.
Yeah,
than a huge song on the radio.
That sounds nice. That sounds like retirement. I like that.
Yeah. Well, what do you think? You know, and I don't mean to make it sound like, oh, well, you're not popular anymore, but that's okay. Like, I don't mean that. I mean, it's like you've found a group of people that like really have a deep connection with you.
What's cool about that is, like we got big in America first, but shout out to like all the Latin countries. Shout out to Mexico. Notice all your
comments. There's a lot of Hispanic people in the comments.
Yeah. It's the craziest thing. I think it's because I when I first said my name was Diego, like I don't look Hispanic, which is hilarious, but I'm full Hispanic. So when I said that, it's almost like they're like, yep, he's one of us. Like, you're bringing them back down here.
Right. Well, I do find it interesting that there's that whole like, oh, he's just a rich white kid thing.
I wish I was just a rich white kid. I probably wouldn't have made music if I was a rich white kid. Right. Nah, definitely not. I grew up pretty poor. But shout out to all the Latin countries, Mexico, Chile, Argentina, Brazil, Spain. Bro, yeah, I don't know what it was, but I love that they love the music and they love who I am, and I love them for supporting me. And I need to do shows. I should go do like some shows out there.
You have a couple songs that it looks, I don't know much about like the like Latin scene, but that are a little bit more like kind of like reggaeton kind of inspired, and it sounds like you did some features with some of those people. Yeah.
Oh man. Because when I started to realize that I had a big fan base down south, a lot of the big artists down there started hitting me up. Crazy big artists that I didn't even know about until then, but they do like 100 million like plays on like a video in like a month. I'm like, holy
that
shit.
That scene is fucking huge. I don't know that much about it, other than like I remember seeing Despacito before it was popular in America, and it still had like 1 billion plays.
Yeah, it's crazy, bro. It's like a whole another world, you know, because like the dude will get like 150 million plays in like a month,
right?
But you're like, you never heard of him. It's like,
right.
But obviously he's like the shit.
Huge.
Yeah, and I found that so interesting, and so I started to get hit up by people like that, and people would hit me up, and then we just started working, and they're great people, man. They're great people. I love them, man. It's different than working with like American artists. Sometimes working with American artists, it seems like kind of put together too much, and like not very what's the word, like not organic, or like, yes, they just, it's like, oh, you get this. If I do a collab with him, I get this much clout.
Right.
You get that much clout.
The spreadsheet.
Yeah, the clout sheet.
Yeah.
And over down south, it's more just like, yo, you want to make some good music? Let's make some good music. See what happens.
Have you done much? Have you played many shows down there, or you haven't had a chance yet?
I had a tour before the pandemic to go down there. I think Mexico City, and then further down just the areas, South America and stuff. But it all got canceled. The ticket sales were amazing, but what happened was the promoters fell through. So it just like,
right.
Yeah, I was so excited like to go down there, because knowing the big fan base I have out there, I was just like, yo, this is gonna be crazy. Like,
well, I'm sure it'll still be there when you're able to.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope shows and everything come back, man. Like, people are struggling out here.
Yeah. Well, your genre is one where it's a lot more feasible to make a living without playing shows than it is like in rock, where like streams are just never going to be, well, I shouldn't say never, but it's unlikely that streams are going to be as big as they are for like your genre.
Oh yeah. No, I don't think that they will be either. Like,
so you started your Patreon in October, I think it was?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Me and Kinfolk started a Patreon in October. We've put out like a little bit of content, because it's kind of like, I consider it like it's in like a weird state. We want to do something crazy with the Patreon. So, but we're just setting up a lot of things on the outside to make sure that the content is crazy. So we've been a little slow on it, but we have some content on there that we keep putting up. But we want to turn it into a whole like podcast, kind of like just something that just something good. I want to feel good about what I give. If people are paying, I want to feel good about like what content they get. So I would say like, definitely, if you want some new content, yeah, we're uploading exclusive content on Patreon right now, but I would say wait a couple months to do the Patreon.
Well, my personal opinion is that I think that creators see it that way, like that they really have to like over deliver, but I don't think audiences see it that way. I think they just want you to keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like from my Patreon, which isn't huge, but it's decent. Only about 10% of the people actually consume the stuff that I put out on Patreon.
Yeah.
And they don't cancel or anything. I think they just want to support me. And, I support a few other people. I don't ever really look at the stuff.
Well, yeah, you've built is amazing though. You built like, you have a big podcast. You have the YouTube like show, like, bro, we stay watching that over here. So I guess I'm about to sign up to your Patreon right now, dog.
There you go. Well, I guess what I'm saying is, I think it's awesome to, challenge yourself to deliver a lot, but, at the same time, people I think are just happy to support.
Yeah. And shout out to them for real, because they contribute, support, and I like that. I want to have like a good community on Patreon one day where it's just like that.
I think Patreon's amazing. Like, and whether it's that or OnlyFans or whatever, like the future to me is clearly like directly connecting with your fans, like just cutting out the labels and the promoters and just cut out all the bullshit and just connect directly with your fans. And, you only need a couple thousand people to be able to support yourself on Patreon as compared to like a billion streams.
Yeah, you get a couple thousand people on the Patreon. Oh man, you're living. You're good. Yeah. That's crazy. Thanks.
There's a couple specific things I wanted to ask you about in a couple songs and videos. With Girls, Girls, Girls. You said there's a line in there. It's like, all my life I've been an image.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
All my life I've been an image. That's definitely me just lashing out that I feel like the world has this perception of me that probably isn't, definitely not accurate. They just think I'm stupid, on drugs or something. And the media paints they paint an image that usually is not nice. So it's just kind of like, it's just toying with that idea. Like, I don't know, because I'm so used to it at this point, so might as well just throw it in the music. Like,
sure,
let people know.
But at the same time, you are an entertainer, How much?
Oh yeah, like I know what you mean. Yeah, I feel like like a puppet. Definitely during like 2018, I definitely felt like a puppet to the people above me.
But how much of what you put out, and I think about this for myself, obviously you're 5 billion times more well-known than I am, but, I think about this too is like, you kind of have to put out an image to the public because they expect a certain thing from you. And like how much of what you do is being a character, not that it's fake, but do you know what I mean?
Well, a lot of the ratchet shit on my Instagram is definitely a result of when I was like fucked up off like Xanax and stuff. When I started doing Xanax, I do the most wildest shit that I get sober every time. I'm like, why did y'all let me do that? Like looking back, but I leave it up because it goes up, like it does millions of views. And I'm like, they liked it somebody liked that. But yeah, being like sober now, it's just more like, I don't know. I just want to be normal. I don't know how to describe it. It's definitely a weird time. It's just a weird time, man. But yeah.
You see some people in the comments are like, "Oh, I miss the old Xan." And that's got to be interesting to see since people fucking hated that.
Yeah, right. Like the old Xan. What's the old Xan? Yo, you miss me off 4 Xanaxes and fucking scootering through the crib, breaking shit. Like, nah, no, my homies don't miss the old Xan.
I'm sure you don't either.
Nah, yeah, I don't miss that. I was younger, which was definitely a big part of it too. Younger, the drugs, money, fame, like all 4 of those things, probably the worst combination. But yeah, just, we've evolved over. All of my friends have evolved. Like my friends are older than me, obviously. And I think that's what helped me out is them. Like I feel like I'm 30, but I'm not.
So how do you kind of, I guess, how do you sort of get the sense of who is really there for you and supporting you and who is either a clout chaser or just, viewing it as a transactional thing?
Yeah, like some yes man people.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
In the beginning, I'm such a nice person. So in the beginning, like I would take a bunch of people on tour. Like obviously we take, the main homies on tour. They're good. But we just let other people like pile up on the tour bus. And they were just trying to obviously soak up like what we were doing, you know what I mean? Like shows and travel and stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it because of course they're coming up to me like, oh man, you're so great, Xan.
So like, we're friends, right?
We're friends. Yeah. Like me, you, yeah, you're dope. And so I was just like, oh, everybody loves me.
Yeah.
Everybody loves me. But yeah, no. And then my friends even to this day still do it. Not as much, obviously, because we've kicked about a lot of the fake out, but they still come up to me and be like, yo, this guy is just a clown, bro. Like, stop fucking with him. And I'm like, what? I'm like, he's a clown? And then he tells me why. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Like, it just goes straight over my head. Like, but yeah, we got rid of that probably like a year and a half ago. We got rid of like all the negativity, all the fake people, but they still try to come around, and it's just, we're smarter than that at this point. Like I know how to recognize it now. So yeah.
And, I think a lot of people, it's not like they're bad people that are trying to use you or something. It's just that they think it's cool that they're around somebody who's, famous and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. They definitely get a thrill out of just being up in that scene. And yeah. And, it's cool too, because some of them have made careers off of like just being up in my scene, and then someone else's scene intergliding with that, like, and now they're doing big things with that artist. So shout out to them. Like,
that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah. It's almost like that annoying kid that you gotta keep like, you gotta keep poking the bear, man. You gotta keep, because something like that might happen.
The other thing I wanted to ask you about was the video for Wide Awake, which for anybody who hasn't seen it, is you up on the roof of some, fancy penthouse with about a dozen girls, a dozen video vixens,
vixens
shaking their butts.
Sure. Vixens.
You seem so out of place there. What is that all about?
Oh my God. Yo, shout out to that song.
It's a very good song,
homie,
by the way.
Yeah, our homie who had done the beat passed away. Rest in peace.
Oh, was that Diego?
Yeah. Oh, Diego. Yeah. Diego
Oh, okay.
Did that beat. Yeah,
RIP,
Diego
yeah.
did that. And Mikey. Yeah, Mikey and Diego did the beat. And what happened was I was staying in that penthouse actually for like the previous month with Tyler Yahweh, another dope ass artist. And one day I think I was like, well, we got to utilize this place. It's still a crazy video. What would happen? Insane. Like we had no idea. Like they brought the girls up and it was just like, all right, we're going to have a video. It turned into a full-fledged like party like 2 hours later. And I think we probably spent like an hour directing the video just to running around the penthouse, and then it just like cut party. Jake Paul showed up. It's like, and it's crazy. Like,
so this was just pre-sobriety?
Yeah, I was fucked up. Oh man, I was definitely. They had to, I think, drag me out at the end of the night of the penthouse, the security back down to my other room, and this probably didn't look that good, but
right.
It was a good night. Yeah, it was a good night. Everybody had fun.
It's just so I don't know the right way to put it. It's just so odd to me to see somebody like you know, in, you know, your kind of stereotypical rap video like that.
Yeah, it's definitely, I know what you're talking about. It's definitely, it can be seen as a little out of place and stuff. Yeah, blame the director. No,
I'm not saying it's good or bad. It's just kind of strange, you know, just because I see you as more of like an alternative kid.
Yeah.
You know?
And that video was very like more in your face, like that. But yeah, great director, but
cool
I know
edit too.
Yeah, cool edit. Yeah, I know what you're talking about though. I know exactly. Yeah. It could have been more dark.
You know, that's what it is. Cool. Well, I won't take up too much more of your time, but one last thing for, I guess, anybody listening to this who, you know, has considered trying to get sober and is maybe afraid of facing the world without the ability to self-medicate, what would you tell that person?
People that are afraid to get sober or afraid to.
Yeah, they're just kind of like, I don't know if I can handle the world sober.
Oh man, you totally can. I would tell this to anybody. Depending on where you're at with your drug use, like if you're, you know, far gone, you definitely need to seek help, because I've had seizures trying to just go cold turkey off of. Yeah, you can die from it. I've had 8 seizures now. From trying to go cold turkey off specifically Xanax. And it's like the scariest thing ever. So if you're really far down bad, yeah, you have to get help. But I mean, it's for the best. Like get help, go get on some detox stuff. There's always someone there to help. But if you're just starting it, bro, stop that right now. Cause let me tell you, that like almost ruined my life. Almost killed me. I tell my friends this, and it's another morbid joke, but it's like, I'm so grateful to be alive, because we've lost friends that did 90 times less the amount of drugs that we did and died and overdosed. So it's like, it's a blessing that, you know, nothing bad happened to me. But yeah, it's not worth it. I know it's like probably the most cringy cliche thing to say, but like drugs aren't cool. You know, there was a time I thought that shit was cool, but 2021, if you're still like doing all that shit, you gotta stop, man. Just stop. Yeah, get help. There's always someone to talk to. I know people feel alone, and people's mental health, I know, are going through it right now with the pandemic. But you just gotta stay strong. Even my mental health is kind of going a little cuckoo with the pandemic. But you just gotta stay strong. And just try to focus on yourself. Do something that betters you as a person. There's just I wish I could like speak to like a whole like classroom of kids right now.
Right on. Well, I'm sure you're helping people. I appreciate it. And
I appreciate you having me on, man.
Yeah, good luck with the rest of the year.
Yo, thank you, brother.